In part 4 of our series on the Decker murders, we focus on the outrageous attempt of the domestic violence community to gaslight Whitney Decker, the mother of the 3 murdered girls, to adopt their narrative that it was the family court's failure that caused this tragedy. On June 8th, a group of Catherine Campbell and 37 domestic violence advocates made a post. You can find a link to the post in the description box. Included in the 37 were notable advocates such as Catherine Jean Sherlock, Simon LaPierre, Hannah Dreyfus, Emma Katz, Richard Ducote, Joan Meyer, and Paul Griffin. Among their words to Ariana Cozart, Whitney Decker's lawyer, is the following. "We are an army family with service in Afghanistan and the Ukraine border. We know of mental health problems in the service and CPTSD that can come home with someone. More needs to be done to help those still in and all our veterans. We are also a family who experienced the family court. I personally was told not to bring up the abuse for I could lose custody. This is a common direction many have received, for we have a culture that 1. Dismisses abuse by a father, 2. Wrongly thinks that abuse to the mother is not abuse to the child or children, and 3. Wrongly believes an unsafe father needs to be in a child's life, regardless of the needs of the child or children. Thus, some feel they need to tell their clients it is a no-win situation to bring up the facts of abuse. In fact, they tell you to be positive about the other parent, or you may look like you are alienating a parent. Oddly, to name abuse has been seen as more harmful than abuse. I don't know the details of Whitney's case except what I have read in the news. It is a fact they filed for divorce. Sounds as if she asked for the divorce. Did she also want supervised visits? Was there an issue with an upcoming court hearing? If you look at Amy Hunter's story, the girls thought they would be safe if they didn't spend the night with their dad. Children of abuse cannot understand their full need for safety, and Amy fought for full protection. There was an upcoming hearing, and he murdered both his girls at the exchange point. Amy had worked so hard to protect them. The courts failed them. Hope is not a safety plan. We have seen too many children murdered by a parent in these situations. So many have worked tirelessly to improve the law that will require more safety in the courts, and lawyers could lean into these laws. We have also seen how saying someone just broke, snapped, or otherwise does not help the situation. Loving fathers do not kill their children. CPTSD alone does not make someone a killer. These words do not help others see the reality in their or loved ones' cases, and even if you know someone is a bit Jekyll and Hyde, you cannot dismiss the evil, wicked, or deranged side of that person. Nobody is blaming Whitney. It sounds as if she did all she could to help her children. To solve these problems, we need to understand abuse and name it. Did she do Catherine Campbell's risk assessment? Were there signs of abuse increasing? Many who live in abuse cannot even see it growing. It is so hard to leave abuse, let alone name it and see it. Please help people see the reality here. Nobody needs to know how they died. It is the why that will save other lives. Yes, improve the Amber Alert system. It is also based on the culture that fathers with part custody are safe. Yes, improve the needs of those who do and have served, but most importantly, we need to work to create safe homes for children. We need better laws such as Caden's Law in every state, and we need to shift the culture to focus on children's right to be safe over an abusive parent's right to custody. If we pretend the Hyde part of a person does not exist, people, even children by their own parent, die. I do want those who are struggling to get the help they need. I believe regardless of what a person has done, there can be a future for that person. That does not mean a child should be in the care and custody of an abuser. It does not mean even supervised visits may be appropriate, and it certainly does not mean there is no accountability. Clearly Mr. Decker needs help. It would be very surprising to me if there were no red flags before the murder of his 3 daughters. We need to stand together as a society to name it, to end it. Fact check, Ms. Campbell, are you for real? You admit that you don't know the details of the case. That is true. Mr. Decker initiated the divorce, not Whitney. There were no upcoming hearings. She did not ask for supervised visits. Whitney was not concerned about safety. There was no violence or control tactics. Whitney even allowed Travis Decker to stay overnight in her house at times when he had no place else to go. Among the things Campbell suggests is that children don't know what it means to be safe, implying that the Decker girls were too young to realize the danger. That the courts failed the Deckers. Mental health alone doesn't make someone a killer, so Decker must have been evil, and this should have been detected. A risk assessment should have been done. Ms. Campbell, there was no abuse for there to be any increases in abuse, or to warrant a risk assessment. And what a whopper. Do you really believe that the Amber Alert system was designed with an assumption that fathers who have custody are safe? Fact check, Ms. Campbell, your suggestions don't match up with this case. You make an appeal for Whitney Decker to acknowledge that she was abused, and that there were red flags that the courts failed to act upon. Whitney is encouraged to step up to the plate and promote her tragedy as a reason for enacting Caden's Law. Shame on you, Ms. Campbell and your co-signers. Caden's Law would not have prevented this tragedy. Whitney has suffered enough. Don't try to gaslight her to adopt your narrative. The takeaway, folks, be cautious when the domestic violence community tries to create the narrative of such tragedies. Do your research and stay informed. Like, and don't forget to share.